Yes, job people, this is Michael Shamaya representing. I will say, Haile the Lion Voice, saying it is time for the lions and the lionesses to tell their own story. King David killed Goliath with a stone, we original dread.
I'm Nana Farika. The time has come for the lioness to tell her story from her viewpoint and tell the world who Queen Omega is. This is the lion's voice.
Look, so let me just bring ones up to speed. Right now, we have Donald Trump elected to the presidency. President Biden, the outgoing president, has 2 more months to govern America. In that time, he has escalated the war in Ukraine, giving authorization for the use of the ATACMS missile, which is a long-range missile to strike into the borders of Russia. This was previously denied by the Department of Defense, the Pentagon. Everybody came out and said this wasn't going to happen. It wasn't necessary. What the Russian president has said, Vladimir Putin, is that these missiles cannot be operated without American satellite information, which is classified. It cannot be the targets cannot be selected without American authorization and technicians. The systems can't be maintained on the ground without American technicians. So by all means, it's really the Americans that are firing on Russia. And if they were to fire these missiles, that they would consider this a declaration of war and that they would be at war with America and NATO. This was said by the Russian president, Vladimir Putin. Things calmed down for a time. And then just this strong, we got news that President Biden has authorized the use of these systems, and then followed by the British Prime Minister Starmer, who has authorized the use of Storm Shadow missiles, which are the same principle as the ATACMS, the same satellite, the same everything. So for all intensive purposes, Russia and US and the UK are now fully at war. We know the previous world wars were really European wars that had multiple theaters of war around the world. And by that, we can also look at the war in Ukraine, which is a European war. We can look at the war in the Middle East, which is being funded and supported by European powers, Russia backing Iran, which is backing the resistance movement. And then you have the G7 countries which are backing Israel. So this is why we classify this conflict as a world war. And I'm going to be honest with the family, is that a lot of I and I become comfortable and lackadaisical. We're comfortable in our struggle, comfortable in our poverty, comfortable in our, most of the ones who are saying this is fear mongering, or are saying these are ones who are not prepared for any type of catastrophe. These are ones who are not a part of any organization. They have not been organizing and centralizing themselves. So instead of doing that difficult work, which is necessary, which the item know I am very active in. So when I say these things, as an actionist and the Lion Pride, we are action community, because the Lion Pride, all of them are action people. Why? They support I and I. So even if they're not doing anything individually, the fact that they support this platform means that they are actively engaged, because they are helping to get information out. So the Lion Pride, we stand as one. I tell people I'm just a representative of the Lion Pride at this point. I want to know from the family, because when I read this, I see dire warnings. I see serious language used. I don't get the sense that he's saying that the rest of the world cannot fall into Armageddon or what we see the world descending into. I've given my argument why I think World War II has officially started. I'm interested to hear what the family is saying. Let's have the reasoning down in the comments. Well,
Lion Voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion Voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion Voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion Voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion Voice. Yeah. I'm a Gideon. Cataclysmic forces. Good over evil. Yeah, for the ghetto youth. Worldwide. I see the youths nowadays, they growing up. Wanna know the truth, they wanna know what's up. They got no fear now, they'll call you bluff. They asking questions cause they had enough. Why? Some gone stray cause times is tough. Some walk with the machine, ready to bust. Armageddon, things get dangerous. Down in the ghetto, things get dangerous. On the battlefield, things get dangerous. Them carry RPG, M16. Got a problem to wipe out your whole team. For American dream, them get scandalous. Lost and put us into the ghetto, try abandon us. Cause we the remnant of the first sons of Kush. Warrior tribes, we not the ones to push. Just look into them history, see we rebellious. That's cause them systems so unjust. Take the shackles and chains, change them to handcuffs. Release your physical frame, them want your brain. Them a vampire looking for blood to drain.
What do you have to tell the people about RasTafari?
Light to the world. The king of kings and the conquering line of the tribe of Judah. I left himself. Where's my ruler? Hey yo! Eli! Hear them high, hear the black king on the 23rd of July. So tell them guy who praise God up in the sky, it's a lie. The Almighty living on your night. From ancient time them a try. Them Romans know them just open to them suit and ties. Criminals ain't got no alibi, they stole my people. Then them come without them genocide.
Are you talking about slavery?
Them couldn't kill. The lion will come conquer Judah tribe.
Who?
Go through tribulation, I and I strive, see sufferation, I and I still rise. That's why we tell them, in America, live Rastafari in a every ghetto area. We come if you tell them, in a Toronto, straight at
Greetings in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie the First. Glory and honor in the name of His chosen Queen, EmpressMenen. My name is Kwasi Bansu, aka the DEJAZMATCH Kwasi, aka Ras Kwasi, aka the Reading Ras, aka the Pan-African Happy Man. I'm a creative industry attorney, I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an actionist, and right now I am the host of the Lion's Voice. Welcome to the Lion's Voice, and welcome to the Lion Voice Network, where the lions are telling our own story. Today's episode, we talk about the official kickoff of World War III. Put up a post on Facebook, and a lot of tru-versation has arisen around this topic. Some people saying that I'm fear-mongering. Some agreeing and, saying what is the solution. We're going to talk about it all here on this episode today. This is Rastafari Independent Non-Aligned Media, and we are committed to touching the topics that are relevant to a global Rastafari and Pan-African community. And of course, when we witness for the first time America and the UK firing long-distance missiles into Russia, the first time in human history that this has happened, and Russia considering this to be an act of war, we're going to talk about it. Some people have their philosophies. We're going to go into the speeches of His Majesty to look. Some people say Africa's Armageddon past, therefore there will be no World War III. It's all illusion. Ras, what you do? You waste time looking at Babylon. What you believe is what you're going to manifest, and all different views. Today's show, we are going to tackle these views and look and see what His Majesty said about these global conflicts. Did he say that there could be no global war or World War III? Did he say that everything was either full and just go about business as usual? Let's go into the speeches and see if that holds up. We're going to do that. And we're also going to examine that famous speech to the Organization of African Unity, where he talks about Africa's Armageddon has passed, because that was said in a very specific context. I'm the reading Ras, so we have to deal with context, because a lot of false concepts are out there in terms of what His Majesty speaks. And this channel, we are, that is the common line, is that we deal with the teachings of His Imperial Majesty. Give us the teachings of His Majesty. We don't want no devil philosophy. So anything I say, we try to keep it. And that doesn't mean we can't be wrong, but we try to keep it in line with the teaching. That means we have a base from which we build our own sound. A lot of people just out there gathering information and building their own sound, and then tell you that if you're a Rasta, you have to X. If you're a Rasta, you have to Y. And it doesn't line up with the teaching. So that is one of the things that we want to do, is to ensure that we look. Now, if you're just joining us, let us bring ones up to speed, because I also realize a lot of people don't watch the global news. A lot of us are in our day-to-day survival, just trying to put food on the table, pay rent, pay mortgage, and I overstand that, so they don't have the time or the interest even to look. So let me just bring ones up to speed. Right now, we have Donald Trump elected to the presidency. President Biden, the outgoing president, has 2 more months to govern America. In that time, he has escalated the war in Ukraine, giving authorization for the use of the ATACMS missile, which is a long-range missile to strike into the borders of Russia. This was previously denied by the Department of Defense, the Pentagon. Everybody came out and said this wasn't going to happen, it wasn't necessary. What the Russian president has said, Vladimir Putin, is that these missiles cannot be operated without American satellite information, which is classified. It cannot be the targets cannot be selected without American authorization and technicians. The systems can't be maintained on the ground without American technicians. So by all means, it's really the Americans that are firing on Russia. And if they were to fire these missiles, that they would consider this a declaration of war, and that they would be at war with America and NATO. This was said by the Russian president, Vladimir Putin. Things calmed down for a time, and then just this strong, we got news that President Biden has authorized the use of these systems, and then followed by the British Prime Minister Starmer, who has authorized the use of Storm Shadow missiles, which are the same principle as the ATACMS, the same satellite, the same everything. So for all intensive purposes, Russia and US and the UK are now fully at war. We know the previous world wars were really European wars that had multiple theaters of war around the world. And by that, we can also look at the war in Ukraine, which is a European war. We can look at the war in the Middle East, which is being funded and supported by European powers, Russia backing Iran, which is backing the resistance movement. And then you have the G7 countries which are backing Israel. So this is why we classify this conflict as a world war. Now, because there were proxy wars, it was more so a Cold War that was happening. This escalation today, why I said that officially it has been kicked off, is because with the use of these long-term missiles with Russia saying that they consider this to be an attack by America and the UK, this now constitutes a hot war. That means it's active. And if you study history, you know that these world wars don't just come up and it's a big, it's a roll down the hill to war. So it is in this context that I say that World War III has started. And those who are in the Lion Pride know that I have been sounding this trumpet for months, you know what I mean? And so said, so done, we can see. And again, I'm saying that this is only the beginning of woes, the beginning of sorrows. It's going to spread from these theaters and impact the global economic system because everything is so interconnected. Now, my brethren and sisters, some of them, have said that we are fear-mongering. Why do we continue to talk about this? You know what I mean? Every generation talk about these are the latter days and things happening, you know? So that is something that we want to address on this episode. You know, is it warranted? I would argue yes. Why? Because awareness and preparation. When we look at the lack of preparation, I'm going to be honest with the family, is that a lot of I and I become comfortable and lackadaisical. We're comfortable in our struggle, comfortable in our poverty, comfortable in our, you know, most of the ones who are saying this is fear-mongering, or are saying these are ones who are not prepared for any type of catastrophe. These are ones who are not a part of any organization. They have not been organizing and centralizing themselves. So instead of doing that difficult work which is necessary, which the item know I am very active in. So when I say these things, as an actionist and the Lion Pride, we are action community. You know, because the Lion Pride, all of them are action people. Why? They support I and I. So even if they're not doing anything individually, the fact that they support this platform means that they are actively engaged because they are helping to get information out. So the Lion Pride, we stand as one. I tell people I'm just a representative of the Lion Pride at this point, and we're going to continue to grow the community. So, you know what I mean, most of the people who take the view, you know, when you peel back the layers of what they are doing, they're not doing there, you know, they might have a comfortable job. And we have to ask, do we trust their assessment, you know, where everything is okay, mark of the beast is propaganda, we don't have to worry about no new world order, the Bible is fairy tale, and you know what I mean, you talk about these things, fallen angel, what that, you know. Do we take that position? What I am going to say is one of the most powerful songs that I and I can have right now toward this global unity, and that is, let us agree to disagree, family. I don't want to fight with anyone who takes that alternative position. I and I will be preparing for the Armageddon, you know what I mean, and doing what we can to position ourselves that we can endure, you know, if the earth is plunged into darkness in terms of global shipping shutdown, all of these things. I and I are making the preparation so that we can withstand whatever comes, you know what I mean? And this is part of the repatriation movements and the different efforts that you see have been shared, some of them on this platform. A lot of things, a lot of works I don't share on this platform, even though we're very transparent. You know, you don't say everything until some things are completed. So we have, for every plan and thing that I come on this platform and say, we have many more that are in the works that we do not talk about because they are not ready to come to the public yet. So just know that. Now, again, a lot of people think that when you sound the trumpet about World War III, you're fear-mongering. I've just explained why I think World War III has started from a very technical perspective. You know what I mean? The hot war between the major powers, you know, has officially started. Russia responded to these missile attacks using a mid-range intercontinental ballistic missile. These are the missiles that carry the nuclear warhead. So Russia had showed them, say, you want to play these games, I'm going to show you the capability. And they sent one into Ukraine. They also threatened to destroy a military base in Poland. They told the UK to be on standby, that you're not off the hook. So this thing is continuing to escalate. We're watching the whole vibration and the fullness. The price of groceries is already sky high, family. So, you know what I mean? If ones don't want to prepare, I'm not going to stop anyone. Again, we agree to disagree. This is the most powerful sound we can have in the unity. We can still have unity. We can still reason on matters that we agree on. But those of us who take repatriation as a prophetic call, now is our time, to start getting active. Come out over my people, Revelation 18. That's so I and I there right now. You see me I say? So for those who are not on that, again, because a lot of ones have given up even on the sound of repatriation. They say the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. They want to stay where they are. The Almighty go with them. You know what I mean? We're not looking at any conflict. We are RasTafari, independent, non-aligned media. So this is a platform that everyone can full joy, even if you're not on the vibration that I'm speaking of today. And I want to show that those of us who are on this vibration, we stand on solid ground. When His Majesty talk about the Bible as a rallying point for humanity, now is the time he's talking about, because all of the protections that were put in place after the beast invaded the land, which was the UN global system, all of those things are in jeopardy because many ones do not follow what's happening globally. They're unaware, so they will tell you about His Majesty's speech in 1963, which they will ignore the warnings in that speech, which none of them were followed or acted upon. But it's Armageddon. We also have International Criminal Court issuing arrest warrants for Benjamin Netanyahu and Gallant, who is I believe, the defense minister, or the finance minister in Israel. And this is also unprecedented, but they have no enforcement power, obviously. We are in a time globally, the international system that underpins global peace and underwrites global peace has never been as weak as it is right now, since the collapse of the League of Nations. And with the rise of BRICS, even though BRICS has signaled its commitment to the UN framework, with the rise of the Global South not being able to get anything through because of the veto powers vested in the United Nations. The United Nations right now is almost irrelevant in terms of being able to stop global conflicts. And I'm going to show on this episode, through His Majesty teachings, that he warned them about this, that these things would happen, and he had great concern over the peril, and what he deemed as even the word extinction, going as far as to say that humanity could face extinction if it were not to heed his solemn warning, So that's what we're going to talk about today. Before we get into that, let me just big up the Lion Pride. If this is your first time joining us, I want to say, if you subscribe, you're part of the Lion Pride. We are 13,700 plus. By the time this airs, we'll be approaching 14,000. We might even be over 14,000. We are the fastest growing Rastafari platform that I know of on the internet, and it's because the Lion Pride continues to grow, the word continues to spread, that the reasoning is happening here on the Lion Voice Network. The most diverse set of guests that we have from all over creation. You never know who's going to turn up on the Lion Voice. It's always in-depth, high-level Rastafari Pan-African reasoning. And I give thanks for everyone who has subscribed to the platform to make this strong. Big up the Lion Pride on Patreon. They are the economic engine of this ecosystem. We have 24 fire angels standing arm in arm with I and I, who are helping to fund and make everything you see realize. We are trying to get that number to 100 by January 1st. We are falling behind our goals Lion Pride family. I need everyone's help. I say that, people buy coffee to help them to wake up. They value the coffee to help them to wake up. For the price of a cup of coffee, you can support this platform. $5 a month, as low as $5 a month, to help us to wake up our community, wake up our global family. You know what I mean? No one is coming to save us. I always say that. And if we want world-class media platforms, if we want programming that caters to our history, that preserves our history, that is high quality, then we have to fund it. That is the only way to truly have it independent, or else we're depending on a corporation or someone else to write us a check, or a government, and that becomes delusional, because why would they fund something that is not in support of how they currently have creation? So it's up to us. So big up the 24 who have seen the vision, and we're looking for company on the Lion Pride. You see, we filled up one side of the Serengeti. Now we're on our second page. Big up Mama Carmen. We're gonna have her on to talk about relationships. Big up my own mother who joined. Big up Mommy for the support. And we need more ones to rally in to really make this a powerful platform. I have the confidence, and I'm willing to do the work, make the sacrifice. And you can see we have over 800 pieces of content over 2 years straight. We're bubbling right now. The platform is bubbling. Very pleased with the growth. We haven't had our viral moment yet. Remember that. And our viral moment will come naturally, not because we're running down controversy, but the right sound at the right time, will come and it will go out there. So when that happens, we have a lot of content for ones. And if you're just joining, make sure you go into the back Lion log, go into the episodes starting from number 1, watch them, stream them, so you can get up to speed. So much great content on the platform, from vlogs where we're on the scene at places, to interviews, with all kind of Rastafari professionals, creatives, you name it, we have it here. The most Rastafari woman content on the internet right here on the Lion Voice Network. So very pleased and proud of the platform that we're building as the Lion Pride. So join us. The Ubuntu Lion Pride are those who have given a contribution of over $50 US. It's a great way to have your business, give it some visibility, to align with something that's positive and progressive without, having to worry about the monthly expense, for those who are concerned or they're not able. We try to build the ecosystem that you can support any kind of way. So even if you don't have $1 in your pocket, you can become part of the Action Lion Pride. All you have to do is like, comment, and share on the video. Spread it out. I want to big up my Action Lion Pride. The item have been working quietly and silently, and I attribute a lot of the growth of the channel, the rapid growth, to the Action Lion Pride, because I can see when I get my weekly reports how many times the content is shared. I'm the item, I share it, so give thanks for that. And we have to big up the Watch and Peep Lion Pride. Them watch. You start as a watcher. Everyone starts as a watcher. That's another name for the angels in the book of Enoch. The watchers, big up every watcher. The watchers are people from all walks of life. We have way more watchers than the bulk, because we have way more people. We're over 20,000 views a month, and we only have 13,000 people in the Lion Pride. So we have a lot. The watchers are the majority of the ones who interact with this content. So big up every watcher, because you are also helping platform with the watch hours, which we are over 2,000 in the last 28 days hours of content consumed on this platform, which is very humbling when you think about the amount of time people spend watching this content. And then you have the peepers. Them just come on to see if the thing pop down, the DEJAZMATCH make a mistake, What kind of thing him a talk about? And I like that brother there. You know? Them kind of vibes, you know what I mean? But big them up same way they are part of every ecosystem. I have to big up Ramia King Design, LIDJ, big up yourself. Anytime you see me on this platform, I'm sipping from my Ramia King Design tumbler. Keeps things hot, cold, whatever you need them to be. I really give thanks for that. Big up Ras Wule, CMOS Life, greatest CMOS drink right now. These are the ones who see the vision and support, and we are here pushing Rastafari business at the same time. So big up if you have a small business, reach out. Let's see if we can work something out for the family. All right, housekeeping done. Let's get forward into the topic. I want to start by going to the speech from 1963. This is a speech His Majesty gave to the African leaders, where he said Africans Armageddon is past. This is one of the main things that people quote to say that there will be no World War III. We don't have to worry. Don't fear monger. His Majesty say everything nice, King. You what you talk about. So I'm gonna read this passage so we can put some context around it so that people can see what exactly His Majesty was talking about. You know what I mean? So let us go to the speech and then we'll come forward. All right, so we're going to start by examining an excerpt of the world famous speech, the address that His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie gave at the founding of the Organization of African Unity. The quote that many Rastafari use, which is Africa's Armageddon is past. We're going to examine the whole section that comes from, so we can bring some clarity to the context. And I am stating here that when someone's used that, I'm not saying all, I'm saying when someone's used that, they use that to say there will be no World War III, there is no Armageddon on this earth, it's done, everything is airy, don't fearmonger, just live, you know what I mean, and do ya do. So I don't like that argument because it kind of negates the necessity for collective preparation and the potential of how bad things can really get on earth in spite of Africa's uprising, because remember, we have hundreds of millions of Africans that live outside of the continent. So this is also very important. So I'm going to start. This is from the selected speeches. If you have the selected speeches, it's from 242, page 242. The subheading is Fettered and Bound. So it says, glory to word, glory to sound, glory to the Holy One of creation. It says, the events of the past 150 years require no extended recitation from us. The period of colonialism into which we were plunged culminated with our continent fettered and bound, with our once proud and free peoples reduced to humiliation and slavery, with Africa's terrain cross-hatched and checkerboarded by artificial and arbitrary boundaries. Many of us, during those bitter years, were overwhelmed in battle, and those who escaped conquest did so at the cost of desperate resistance and bloodshed. Others were sold into bondage as the price extracted by the colonialists for the protection which they extended and the possessions of which they disposed. Africa was a physical resource to be exploited, and Africans were chattels to be purchased bodily, or at the best, peoples to be reduced to vassalage and lackeyhood. Africa was the market for the produce of other nations and the source of the raw materials with which their factories were fed. And here comes the big quote. Today, Africa has emerged from this dark passage. Our Armageddon has passed. Africa has been reborn as free Africa has been reborn as a free continent, and Africans have been reborn as free men. The blood that was shed and the sufferings that were endured are today Africa's advocates for freedom and unity. Those men who refused to accept the judgment passed upon them by the colonizers, who held unswervingly through the darkest hours to a vision of an Africa emancipated from political, economic, and spiritual domination, will be remembered and revered wherever Africans meet. Many of them never set foot on this continent. Others were born and died here. What we may utter today can add little to the heroic struggle of those who, by their example, have shown us how precious our freedom and human dignity, and of how little value is life without them. Their deeds are written in history. So, very powerful excerpt. But we can see very clearly that when he says that today Africa has emerged from this dark passage, our Armageddon has passed, he's talking about this period. The events of the past 150 years require no extended recitation from us. The period of colonialism into which we were plunged culminated with our continent being fettered and bound. So he's talking about this period, which was really an Armageddon struggle for us, and we've emerged from that. Now, this is not saying that there is not peril for the rest of the world, and we have to make that very clear. And again, I position is repatriation is a must. Come out of her, my people. Matthew 24, when you see the abomination of desolation stand in the holy place. All of these things, Isaiah 43, I shall say to the north, give up to the south, keep not back. All of these things which speak of this great gathering and the return to the motherland. That is where we stand as a response to this global war, because we're saying that despite the wars and the skirmishes and the insurgencies that are happening on the continent, these are being funded by outside powers. And as the world is plunged and the resources of the great powers goes into destroying each other, they are not going to have the same resources to cause havoc on the continent, which will give rise to a golden era of African development. That is the position that we have. So that would be consistent with saying Africa's Armageddon has passed. But as for the rest of aeration, I don't interpret that as that, and we're going to read some other things, but that is where we are with that quote. Mighty. So you can see by the speech, the context is that he's talking about the period of enslavement, colonialism, all of these things that Africa went through, the people who never set foot on the continent, the people who were born and died, gave their blood, preserved the independence. This is the whole global African diaspora. It's a powerful speech, and he's saying the Armageddon for these set of people has passed. You know what I mean? So in that context, the wars that are happening in Africa, these skirmishes, which majority are being funded by, they're part of the wider geopolitics as these massive powers vie for resources on the continent. Those are not part of the Armageddon. They're tragic, but they are skirmishes in the grand sense in terms of the scale of what is to come. And we have to acknowledge the carnage in Congo, the millions that have died in Congo, of course. That is something that even from His Majesty time, His Majesty sent soldiers to stabilize the Congo in the 1960s. But these are, conflicts that we're going to see them starting to die down, because as the World War III intensifies, all of these countries need resources from Africa, so they're scrambling to trade with Africa, but they're not going to be able to exert the same type of military presence. They're going to have to withdraw their military forces to be able to redirect them into other theaters of war, because these Western economies in particular, they're bankrupt. They cannot, the stretched out empire. And this provides the window of opportunity. So I am not disagreeing in any way with the statement that Africa's Armageddon has passed. We're just putting it into context that because he said Africa's Armageddon passed, doesn't mean the world Armageddon or the Armageddon war spoken of in the prophecy has passed. No. And to the contrary, if you look at the chessboard, what's happening in Israel, Israel cannot reverse what them do now. The economy is on the brink of collapse, complete collapse. The military is overstretched. The prime minister, if he stops the war, he'll be indicted on corruption charges. All of there's a internal civil war that's brewing in Israel. So if fighting stop, that will collapse. All of their trade has been obliterated. All of the nations that traded with them no longer trading with them. Their ports have been shut down by the Houthi in Yemen. Red Sea ports are all shut down. So this is a place in free fall right now. So they are pushing for that Armageddon war, which they're gonna kick it off by, as I said, pushing the United States to war with Iran. And I don't want to get into that again, but that's still going to happen, and that has global repercussions because of the energy that's based in that as we transition from fossil fuel to whatever's coming next. There's going to be some hard times and some great tribulation that comes from these things. And this is what we're talking about. The exchange of missiles we're seeing. We've never seen the exchange of missiles like this. Israel firing missiles to Iran, Iran firing missiles to Israel. And then again, this is happening in Ukraine on the theater. So this global war is not going to end, and there is chance for it to reach the continental US. Both North Korea and Russia and these countries have weapons that can reach continental United States. So this is a very serious conflict that's currently happening. And as we know, if America economy or infrastructure is threatened, so many things are tied in. Revelation 18 will tell you the merchants of the earth bawl because all of them have done business with her. You know what I mean? So that is what we're referring to. Now that we have looked at the OAU speech, let us now look at His Majesty's speech at the anniversary of the UN, because we always talk about the 1963 speech, which is a warning, but we rarely go into His Majesty utterances in the 70s when, things were not looking good, and we can see the decline. And enough of the things that we talk about are still haven't been solved today. So we cannot look to the UN as the release of pressure because of the structural problems that they refuse to fix. What does that leave? That leaves Armageddon. And then the question that I ask to the RasTafari family, are you willing to trust your fate to the UN right now? And then I would ask, how is the UN serving the people of Gaza? Are they being able to preserve them from what is happening to them right now as a global goodie, even though they've issued a warrant for their arrest? Do they have the power to stop the carnage that's happening there? So, a lot of Rastafari people put a lot of faith in the UN as, the UN is going to facilitate repatriation and this and that, which I'm not saying that the UN is completely broken. The UN is doing some great work, but there has to be a massive reform, and that's only going to happen with incredible pressure from the global south, and that's likely going to happen after a conflict, because these nations that are pushing the war have no regard for the UN system at all. So let us touch the speech and then come forward. All right, so we're going to read a few excerpts from a speech given at the 25th anniversary of the UN. The speech is dated from October 24th, 1970. We often don't hear utterances from His Majesty in the 70s. This is from a book, The Important Utterances of Him, Emperor Haile Selassie I. Many ones deal with the selected speeches, but the important utterances are just as important. So we're going to go through. I'm going to jump around because it's a lengthy speech, dealing with all kind of fullness, but I want to just touch a few parts. So the first part I want to touch is a section entitled World Situation. And His Majesty says, "Today I stand once more in this hall. I find myself unhappy about the world situation and the state of this organization. Even as I speak here now in Asia and the Middle East, men are either locked in mortal combat or are dug into trenches ready to unleash the fury of modern weaponry on the adversary upon the slightest move or pretext. Racialism and bigotry continue to oppress and degrade millions of my fellow Africans in their own fatherland. The ever widening economic gap between the affluent and the developing societies on our planet continue unimpeded. In the area of general and complete disarmament, although some progress has been made, which we all have acclaimed as showing signs of a breakthrough, it still remains true that we live not only with the danger of a nuclear conflict hanging over us, but are also helpless witnesses of the wanton waste of world resources which could otherwise be used to improve the lot of men everywhere. It is therefore the bounden duty of all leaders and all peoples to concern themselves with the problems until an appropriate solution is found." So I just want to touch this before we move on. Right now, the Middle East is on fire. It's not Asia, but Europe, Eastern Europe, Ukraine is on fire. You have men in trenches ready to unleash the full flurry of modern weapons. That still is happening. Racial policies, against the Palestinian, in the Middle East. So, okay, disarmament. The military budgets of all of the European countries are being increased, and there's no talk of disarmament right now anywhere. So again, His Majesty said he's unhappy. So I just want to bring the attention for the people who are saying that, boy, you ain't gonna save us, Urgent attention. This is the next part of the same speech. If the United Nations is to be restored to the central position which it was designed to occupy in the maintenance of world peace and security and in promotion of the general well-being of mankind, the situation I have mentioned above should receive urgent attention. It was to this end that the member states of the Organization of African Unity and the non-aligned nations closed their ranks in the unequivocal support of the United Nations at the recent summit conference held respectively in Addis Ababa and Lusaka. I believe we are all convinced that the United Nations can discharge its responsibility for peacekeeping if measures are adopted to avoid a conflict of authority among its organs, and also to make it mandatory for all states to share in expenses of its peacekeeping efforts without resorting to devious ways. I believe it to be in the interest of all states to exert themselves in full in this area, for only when these twin problems are solved can we truly say we have anything even remotely approaching a collective security system. These two problems have not been solved, family. There is no mandatory expenditure for peacekeeping efforts, and as a matter of fact, we haven't seen a peacekeeping force in some time that really stop a conflict from rolling. Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, all of these, the UN should have stepped in before it got out of hand. None of that was happening. He said these twin problems must be solved before we have anything remotely approaching a collective security system. What does that mean? That means that we do not have a collective security system, family. But let me just jump ahead to this section here, just to show the fullness about Armageddon. His Majesty said collective survival. He said the choice of this age, and remember this is 1970, the choice of this age and the very future of humanity is simple: collective survival or collective extinction. When the stark choice is thus revealed in all its naked horror, dare we hesitate as to our choice? The choice we know, the means we can rediscover in a reinvigorated and mature United Nation. The will to act, the courage, and the determination to implement the decisions we must take matter. Let this session be the rebirth of the United Nations and the reaffirmation of our faith in the ever continuing validity of the purposes and principles for which it was established. A grave responsibility rests upon us to ensure our own collective survival, the future of unborn generations. May the Almighty grant us the wisdom, courage, and determination to rise to this supreme challenge and reap a rich reward. That's the Selah. So I asked the family, did the United Nations reinvigorate itself? Is the collective security mechanism in place? And if not, then His Majesty is telling us what the choices are, even to human extinction. That's how serious it is. Now, there are other statements that have been made that we can share in later episodes where he talks about Africa's future will be without parallel in human history. So this is what gives us the confidence. We Africans will fight if necessary, and we are confident that we will win because we are confident in the victory of good and evil, good over evil. So again, I don't have no doubt that Armageddon has passed and that Africa is the sanctuary, the ark for I and I. But to say that, to call out World War III, to recognize the danger the rest of the world faces in the face of these escalating conflicts and this global war that has started between the great powers, power struggle between the BRICS and the G7 nations. To say that, to ignore that, or to bring attention to that rather, and to call on the family globally to prepare themselves, for disruption, for the horrors that will undoubtedly reach the capitals of all of the former colonial powers and the nations that are pushing the war away from their shores. These things will come home, and to tell the people to prepare, I don't think is fear mongering. I think the fear come in when you ignore these things and just try to be irie and go about your business. That is how I say. But again, we can agree to disagree. But that is a quote from the 25th anniversary speech. Some things to think about. So that is where we are. Mighty. So you can see what we're talking about. So all of this is very crucial in regard to what we're talking about. I want to know from the family, because when I read this, I see dire warnings. I see serious language used. I don't get the sense that he's saying that the rest of the world cannot fall into Armageddon or what we see the world descending into. I've given my argument why I think World War II has officially started. I'm interested to hear what the family is saying. Let's have the reasoning down in the comments. I love how the comments have been bubbling. Big up Kez, Haile, Mikael, that episode doing very well. The comments bubbling on the Orthodox Church. We also want to big up all of the people of African descent who got their citizenship. And I want to just contrast that with this global war that's happening. So Africa, people are rising, they're getting citizenship, there's hope for the future. We're emerging out of a dark era. You know, the Sahel states coming up, nationalizing, taking forward the resources is a whole energy on the continent. At the same time, Europe going into decline, war, all of these things. So two roads. Let us have the reasoning, family. This is very crucial. We are here as Rastafari Independent Non-Aligned Media to make sure that these things are not swept under the rug and that we're having the reasoning as a family in real time as they unfold. This is the tradition that we know. This is not no hippie Tafari or reggae Fari business we are dealing with. We are dealing with the essence of the movement, which was that I and I would be that force to manifest heaven on earth, that we are that Pan-African glue, that we are integral to what is happening on the continent, and that we need to prepare, come together, and to do our, remove the distraction, remove the false concepts, come together and manifest this great return. If you're with me, let me know. If I've foolishness me attack, let me know in the comments. We are here. Why? Because the time has come for the lions to tell our own story. And this is the Lion's Voice.
Lion voice. The second beast was given the power to give breath unto the image of the first beast so that the image could speak, and caused all who refused to worship the image to be killed. It also forced the people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive the mark on their right hands and in their forehead. Gone down in the new world order, new world order. Happy work harder, happy pray harder. Babylon them coming with them microchip, and them prison cell, that's the new slave ship. New world order, new world order. Happy work harder, happy pray harder. Babylon them coming with them microchip, and them video game, that's the new matrix. It's a new world order, them start bleaching. Diverse doctrine, them start preaching. The angels for the stars they reaching. They're falling, never hear the lion calling. New world order, them fight against the poor. Machine and robot that sweep them floor. Machine and robot that run them stores. So them create disease ones without any cure. The new world order, new world order. Happy work harder, happy pray harder. Babylon them coming with them microchip, and them prison cell, that's the new slave ship. New world order, new world order. Happy work harder, happy pray harder. Babylon them coming with them microchip, and them video game, that's the new matrix. It's a new world order. Them pan cell phone, families don't even talk in their home. Village farmers get murdered by drones. Village mistress get murdered by stones. New world, so you better call Tyrone. Tell him prepare to use the whole earth a war zone. New world, Satan must feed the throne, so we must exit us and leave him alone. The new world order, new world order. Happy work harder, happy pray harder. Babylon them coming with them microchip, and them prison cell, that's the new slave ship. New world order, new world order. Happy work harder, happy pray harder. Babylon them coming with them microchip, and them video game, that's the new matrix. It's a new world order, check the energy. Make it so hard to go have a family. Man, woman and child, well that are the trinity. Preserve the bloodline, Solomonic dynasty. Vatican them say you beat at them malice and them thief. Harvest and them reap for the global elite. As when the elder him said, don't you weep. The lion destroyed them by the words that he speak. The new world order, new world order. Happy work harder, happy pray harder. Babylon them coming with them microchip, and them prison cell, that's the new slave ship. New world order, new world order. Happy work harder, happy pray harder. Babylon them coming with them microchip, and them video game, that's the new matrix. And it was also forced on the people, great and small, rich and poor,
free and slave to receive the mark on their right hands and in their foreheads, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast, or the number of his name. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. In that number is 666. See that?